Hi everyone, welcome back to the TAMU SIGGRAPH Industry Podcast. Today we're talking with Nick Harvey, who's a rigger and mocap artist from Halon Entertainment. So Nick, go ahead and talk about yourself.
Howdy. I'm exactly those things you described. So I've been working in the industry for about 2 years. I graduated from Texas A&M University in 2017 with a bachelor's of science of visualization. My main focus is character rigging. I have worked on also doing motion capture work at Groove Jones and now Halon Entertainment. And I'm also a little bit of a pipeline TD. And I'm from Dallas. So, hey.
So, can you give a brief synopsis of what you currently do right now? We'll get into that more a little bit later in the podcast, but like what your current job is right now and what you're working on.
Sure. So, my current job right now, I do a bunch of different things. I am a character rigger. So I actually rig characters that are given to me. I also am a motion capture technician, like was said. So it is my job to put all the dots on the actors, make sure that the stage is calibrated, and also running the motion capture machine. So using Motive to record actors. And then it is also my job to write tools for Halon Entertainment's crew. Also putting out fires that any of the artists come out with. So pretty much like if someone is dying, well, not literally dying, but if someone like an artist is having a hard time with their rig or their script doesn't work, it's also my job to go in and see what's going on there.
Oh, great. So yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But first, let's get a brief synopsis of maybe your educational experience and then your general career path to how you got to where you are now.
So let's see. Okay, so my education. I first started. Let's see. I always really wanted to work in animation. My original passion was actually like looking at Flash cartoons online, and specifically Homestar Runner was a huge inspiration to me.
I love
Still
Homestar
really
Runner.
is. Yeah. I'm really like, oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's awful. I even really like doing the voices too.
Okay.
But pretty much, um, when I was in high school, I took courses in animation and ended up teaching myself CS6 Flash. Got certified in that, and A&M seemed like a really good option for me just because I saw, oh my gosh, there's Pixar and DreamWorks. They're all contacting that place. It's awesome. And so, funny enough, A&M was the only school I actually applied to, and I got in. And I was very thankful I got in because I got to meet a lot of really awesome people. But the thing is, when I first got in, I really wanted to be more of an animator. And I went to a Pixar talk, and I raised my hand. I was a freshman. I was a little freshman. I was like, hey. So how many students from A&M do people from Pixar pick up that are animators? And I was told, hey, you went to the wrong school. And I was like, so I kind of had to change my direction in terms of what I wanted to focus on. And I still wanted to animate, and the only way that I could animate 3D animation was to rig. And so when I made my first set of set-driven keys, I was like, whoa, like this is cool. Like I really loved the whole idea of actually like figuring out stuff for characters, because it was a really interesting technical challenge, and actually seeing animators animate with what I have is awesome. So I don't know. I'm like, it's interesting because I'm still an animator at heart. I'm sure you can hear it in the tone of my voice, but I really love the idea of being able to pass on the puppets or rigs that I make, in terms of that. So when I was at A&M, I didn't do the study abroad. I actually went to UTD when that was still available, and so I learned how to do more rigging there. I took rigging 1, and I took a motion capture animation class there, and I learned a lot. And then I came back to A&M and actually taught some students how to rig. And I don't know. It's really funny how things happen because I ended up doing a lot more motion capture when I was hired later at Groove Jones, but we'll talk about that later, I'm sure. And yeah, let's see. Um, and I was very much affiliated with TAMU ACM SIGGRAPH, hence the reason why I'm here. And I was an industry relations officer just like you, and I really wanted to bring in a lot of different folks to talk. And Brazen was one of the first places that I had my eyes on. And when I went over to go talk to Brazen, I actually ran into this, like the first guy I ran into there was this dude named Benjamin Rishi, and he was one of the lead animators there at the time. And I ran into him again much later, and he became my mentor, and so I learned a lot from him. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much my main educational experience.
Okay, yeah. So, kind of honing in onto some of the stuff you did in school. I know we were talking about a little bit before that you did some online classes with
Mm-hmm.
Rigging Dojo.
Yep.
Can you tell me why you chose to do those classes extracurricular from A&M's education and what you learned from that?
Okay. To give you some context, when it came to Rigging Dojo, I took that class after I finished my college career. So it was actually it was I took the Rigging Dojo class after I completed my bachelor's. And I mainly took it because there were some more concepts outside of school that I don't think I was able to get just because I Rigging Dojo is very much a special resource because they primarily focus on rigging, like that is their thing. And where at A&M, you know, they're trying to show you everything through a conceptual lens rather than more of a practical lens, if that makes sense. Because A&M does a really fantastic job at showing you the entire pipeline for video games and animation. But the thing that I felt like I really had to teach myself was my specialty. And so going outside of school, my mentor was like, okay, so I'm not going to teach you animation until you really get better at rigging. So my mentor actually pushed me to go onto Rigging Dojo. And I mainly just took one course, and that was the Face Rigging 101 class. And it was fantastic because I got so much out of it. The people I talked to, because one of the people I ended up talking with actually ended up getting me my job that I currently have. So it's just invaluable to me. I'm so happy that I went through it. But yeah, to answer your question, it was Rigging Dojo kind of helps give you a foot up on things in terms of your specialty and character rigging. So if that's something that you want to do for yourself and really dive into rigging and hone in those skills, then I would really push for that, or any online school that really teaches your specialty, because only you can really drive yourself to learn what you want to learn.
So, how do you feel personally about A&M's like studio structure with their vertical studio and their like freshman year? That's like purely art stuff.
Wait, I have a question for you actually,
Yes.
because I will answer that question. Do they
Okay.
still do the freshman gate?
It's the sophomore gate, I guess. But
The
I
sophomore
mean, that
gate.
wasn't that was so like blown up. Like, it was like, oh, you're gonna die. Like, everyone got through and it was fine. I don't
Oh
think it
my,
was a problem.
wow, because for us it was the freshman gate.
What is the freshman gate?
It's basically the same thing. Essentially, you had to complete like certain math courses, a physics class, and the
Hmm.
main
Yeah, it's the same thing. I
art
think
class. Okay, except I guess
I think it
when
was
you're
like to get into sophomore year. That's what they called it, the sophomore gate. I don't know. I feel like it's the same thing.
I guess it is because that was freshman gate was to get you over to
To take
the
engineering calculus 2.
yeah, you know, you don't need that. You definitely need more physics, but it,
Mhm.
like going through some of that, I ended up actually dropping out of physics just because the class was just ridiculous, and I ended up passing like at a community college over at Brookhaven. So yay, it still worked out. They're willing to help you out. I actually made a video game called The Freshman Gate my sophomore year.
For the buffet studio.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I was just like, no, we're making this a concept. I made a terrible song. Anyways, I'm gonna get back
Yeah,
to
that's
your
fine.
question. Um, um, can you ask it again?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
so
let me
sorry.
remember the question. Oh yeah. Okay. So how do you feel about A&M's studio structure? Because I know in the first year they do traditional art, and then they do
Hmm.
the vertical where they kind of
Hmm.
mesh everyone together. How do you feel about that?
You know, I do like it. I definitely feel that maybe things have changed now, but I definitely feel that it would make more sense if students automatically started jumping into Maya or any video game software like Unreal or Unity when they first come in, rather than just doing traditional art. Because having a mixture of those things is really important, and I guess part of the reason why they do it is because they want you to push yourself so that you can start learning some of those classes. But for me, I don't know. Like, I definitely feel that when I got to the studio classes, I guess I was just so gung ho to just make an animation. Like that was just me. Like I really wanted to do it, and I kind of wish that I got to do that more freshman year. But I don't regret freshman year, because freshman year was such an experience. You stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning. You just drink all the Coke and freaking I don't know. You're just trying to just trying to stay awake. Oh my gosh! I mean, it's an experience. What I say that I really do like is how collaborative the studio classes are. I think that's one thing I really think is great, because I've gained a lot of really good friends just by doing that, if I'm being personally honest. And I feel like I've really gotten to touch a lot of the different parts of the pipeline, because no one really wanted to do some of the things that were in the group. So I would have to jump in and rig, because no one likes to rig. And I learned a little bit of Unreal. I tried to do some modeling, and I'm honestly trying to look into that a little bit more now. But yeah, I would say it's great because it builds you up. And whenever you have like classes where like you're a senior and it's your time to just like actually put in an idea, and your idea gets picked, that is so exhilarating, because it's like, my idea, oh my gosh, I gotta make it really good, gotta make it so good. And like you stay up till 5 or 6 in the morning because this thing's your baby. One of the shorts I worked on, it was 15 seconds. I totally like when we were doing this short, Tim McLaughlin specifically wanted these short little vignettes to be like kind of stylized and stuff. And me and the crew were like I specifically was like, I just want to tell a story. Even if it's just for 15 seconds, I'm really going to utilize this. And so our excuse for that was, okay, no, this is photorealistic, but yet we have a screaming soccer ball that's being kicked.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's that was my idea. I was so happy about that. Everyone in the project, I'm so proud of them.
Yeah. That one was
But
hilarious.
thanks. That was me screaming as the ball. So and that was my rig, and I animated a good chunk of that soccer ball. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think A&M's structure is good, because it's giving you an entire sense of a pipeline. If you're paying attention and you figure out what parts of the pipeline you want to work on, you can use those classes to your advantage. And I highly suggest that, because that's how you're going to build your portfolio and and your demo reel.
Right. All right.
So
So I know you talked a little bit about it earlier, but you said that you did your study away at the University of Texas at Dallas.
Yay.
How does their program differ from ours?
Hmm.
And what do you think you learned from ETD that you couldn't have learned at A&M?
So their program is different, mainly because they have specialized classes. So I specifically took a specialized class in rigging, and also A&M doesn't have a motion capture studio. That was something that was very unique that was offered at UTD. So just to even have that experience with the motion capture stage that they had there was really cool. The one thing I find that I really liked a little more about A&M compared to UTD, and maybe things have changed now. I feel like they are, because I was even invited to a talk there, and it seems like the social community has grown, which is fantastic. Because when I was there, it was kind of there wasn't really too many people to hang out with, and I made friends, but the sense of community at A&M is something that I absolutely loved. So yeah. Um, in terms of what I learned, I mean, like I said, specialties, where A&M, they teach you conceptual stuff. UTD teaches you specialized parts of the pipeline. And honestly, their school is a little different, mainly because how their school is set up is they take you I believe now they do take you through the pipeline, and then you do specialized courses, and then you can like go further into that specialized course. And then when you're a senior, you have to have like this final project, and it's essentially like it's like a collection of works or like a final video game that people have been working on. And it could even be a radio play. I mean, that's the other thing. They actually have like a lot of audio equipment there, and that was really cool. I actually took a radio play class there as well. So yeah,
So another thing you did just as your last like kind of school thing, because we're gonna try to go through this chronologically.
for
I
sure.
know you said you were really big into SIGGRAPH, and I know this is like a SIGGRAPH podcast.
Yep.
I don't care. Like if you want to talk badly about like I don't care. You're fine.
No.
Um,
I would never talk badly about
yeah, that's
SIGGRAPH
the spirit.
for.
That's what I told you
Yeah,
to say.
yeah.
No, but yeah. So what were your experiences? I know you were both an officer and you went to student volunteer at the actual conferences.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about your experiences there?
Sure. So, okay, I'm going to start with the officer. Um, Being an officer was a blast. It was really thrilling to figure out the different events that students were going to attend, because that was like in our hands. And the people that I was with, I just um, really feel like I gained a lot of networking help through that experience, because I just feel like my best years in SIGGRAPH was when I was an industry relations officer, if I'm being honest, because that was the time I actually got to learn how to properly talk to industry folks and what to do and what not to do, because it was very much like, okay, this is how you write a concise email without nerding out to the people that you're reaching out to. And I honestly like came up with like an entire template for myself, just because I was so used to being expected to write something that was a bit more cordial but also a little lax. I mean, and that's the thing that's so interesting about this industry, is that it's a very kind of relaxed environment, wherever you go. And you have to know how to kind of temper your mood. Anyways, so just get back to it. But yeah, bringing in people for the industry relations role was really cool, because I got to set up a field trip for Gearbox. I got to help out with a little field trip over at Brazen Animation. I was able to bring Brazen to come out and talk. I got Steve Hickner from DreamWorks to come out and do a talk as well. He was actually my first guest. And then also getting Gray Haddock, who used to be the former head of Rooster Teeth, have him do a Skype call, and then Fred Seibert from Frederator, have him also do a Skype call. And it was just, I don't know, it's just a really amazing experience, because while I was also a rep, I was pushing myself by going out to the Rooster Teeth Expo and actually meeting some of these people, because going to a conference like that and like other conferences in Dallas or Austin is something that like I was able to say, hey, this is what we're doing as a chapter, and I'm the main guy of it. I would love to reach out and talk with you guys and maybe have you guys do a talk. If you're interested, please let me know. And it was just wild, the cards that I got. I mean, it's really what pushed me to really want to talk to more people in the industry and actually just reach out later in my career. So yeah, I feel like I mainly got a lot out of that and all the fun trips and stuff. So speaking of trips, so yeah, SIGGRAPH conference, student volunteer. I was it twice for 2016 and 2017, and I absolutely loved it. It was a thrill ride. It was honestly the first time I had ever flown out by myself. Now I had friends that were out there with me, which was really cool. But honestly, it was really neat being a student volunteer because I got to just network and talk to so many other people. I mean, honestly, just being out on the floor. There was one time I was just, on the main floor in SIGGRAPH. I think it was 2017 or something. I was like, "Hi, how you doing?" And the head of Baobab Studios just like gave me a card, and I was just like, whoa, just because I was interested in rigging, and he was like, hey, we're kind of looking. And yeah, I mean, it's really wild that the talks that they give specifically for student volunteers is amazing. The fact that you can just have a one-on-one talk with like Leica, the fact that you have the opportunity to go to a Pixar breakfast is amazing. I've done that twice, and you get a teacup by doing that. I have a few teacups.
I have my teacup.
Dude, yeah.
For the podcast, I just showed him my Rinderman teacup that I have on my desk.
Dude, I have that one. I have that one. Did you go to Vancouver?
No, I didn't. I'm actually a sophomore right now, so my first year last year was my first SIGGRAPH.
Oh, okay. Still, that's amazing. I'm so happy that you went. Because if anything, do you know Audrey Rogers?
No, I don't.
Oh, so she was one of the main team leaders that was associated with the SIGGRAPH conference, and that's something that all you students out there, you can work on becoming a team leader once you are a bit more affiliated with being a student volunteer. It's a really, really awesome opportunity. My friend Audrey Rogers, shout out to her, absolutely killed it with what she helped out with and what she did. But yeah, I was just throwing that out there. I've known her since like middle school, so I'm just super proud of her. But pretty much, SIGGRAPH the conference was just an amazing experience because it was actually one of the first times I came into interaction with virtual reality, because I volunteered with the VR,
like immersive theater thing. Yeah, I volunteered with that too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because I did the theater, and then there's like the VR Village. I did the VR Village first, and then I did the theater second. And those are so cool, right? Like, oh my gosh,
so cool.
There's right, like it was so neat just because you got to sit down and watch these VR shorts that like no one else had like really even seen from big names. I mean, honestly, Google Spotlight Stories is like easily one of my favorite.
Have you seen Age of Sail?
Yes.
Oh my!
I saw that
God.
at CTNX.
It's so good.
It's so good.
And then I saw it. You can see it later in their they have like the regular film version of it too that's not in VR, and it's like almost a completely different thing. So it's so interesting to see like where like VR storytelling comes in and like that difference.
I completely agree, because it's like, wow, like, okay, so with watching something in VR versus watching something just plainly on YouTube, you really lose that sense of just being there versus just being in front of a computer screen. It's incredible. And it's the thing that's just so wild about these events is they give you the ability to be in this VR space wearing more of like a Oculus headset rather than just being on your phone and watching it. So I don't know, you get to see and check out things more compared to like what's kind of readily available. So it's really cool. I mean, if they have it on Steam, hopefully I would love to check it out. But for all of you students that are a part of A&M, I'm assuming that's the reason why you're listening to this. One of the big things that you can attend at the SIGGRAPH conference is Texas A&M's after party. And the thing is, it's huge because people that aren't even a part of like Texas A&M's alumni just show up, like because everyone loves A&M. And that's actually where I met this dude named Rob O'Neill, who was actually one of the main character TD supervisors at DreamWorks. And he actually later got me like an interview at DreamWorks. So that's a big thing I want you guys to take away from this is really utilize the resources that you're given here. It's fantastic that you're listening to this podcast. And it's fantastic that you're even, hopefully a part of TAMU ACM SIGGRAPH, because this is the first place that I feel like is really going to lift you off into where you need to go.
Yeah, that's really touching. Okay, so post-graduation, moving on, you went to Groove Jones. Can you tell me what that company is and what they do and how you fit in there?
Yes. So, okay. First thing that I want to say is I got into Groove Jones because Rigging Dojo had a hired and be hired page. So if you are a part of Rigging Dojo, they have hired pages and they want to get you hired. So go on to Rigging Dojo, plug. I don't even work for them. I just love them. Secondly, okay, so Groove Jones. Groove Jones is a virtual reality and augmented reality studio. They do a lot of marketing projects. So one of the first things I actually worked on there was a training simulator for Wells Fargo. And that was very much an experience. And then I also helped out with an American Horror Story project there. I was actually a little bit of a rigging supervisor for one of our interns that was there. And honestly, I was a bit more of a junior there. I feel like I kind of leapt out of that junior space as I kept working there. But yeah, I mean, heck, we even did stuff with Modelo, which was really cool. If you look at my demo reel, you can kind of see we did this like UFC fighting tournament where you put on like a headset and you're using kind of like this off-brand like Xbox controller to beat up like this dude in a VR space. They're all about making VR experiences and then also like AR apps. So like using the iPad to play augmented reality golf and also, making Snapchat filters. Groove Jones makes a lot of Snapchat filters. I actually made one myself, and it's really cool because I actually still have that filter over at the Pro Museum. If you go to the Pro Museum, if you look at the Pachyrhinoceros, and you scan that, that little guy.
Yeah.
I rigged that little character and set up that project. It was really cool.
I worked at the Pro Museum in high school, so.
So
Yes.
If you go back, I got some work there.
Wow. See, Dallas.
Hey,
shout out to Dallas, I guess.
Represent. I miss my hometown.
Hey, actually, beautiful transition. So, can you talk about your transition or your moving to LA from Dallas?
I see. Oh, that was really good.
Didn't plan
I like that transition. No, but that's so good. Okay, so yeah, okay. So with Groove Jones, they didn't have really any more projects for me to work on, so I was sadly let go. But the main deal is I kept up with my friend Greg, who I met on Rigging Dojo, and it was really neat because he posted something about a technical director job over at Halon, and this was actually the same week that I was let go. So I was just like, oh, how the turntables. I got to do this now. So I reached out to him, and it was awesome because he honestly helped me prepare for my interview, and I'm really thankful to him because I've learned so much now. Now that I'm over at Halon Entertainment. But so okay, transition wise, let me get more to California, the big CA, Hollywood. So okay, um, in terms of how that transition went, it was it was a little difficult, mainly because this was my very first time living out of state, still is, and it's been incredible only because I've been able to do things out here that I never would have thought that I'd be doing in Texas. Now the like I said, the thing that was really hard is the fact that I gained a lot of friends in Dallas, and I always had friends in Dallas, but like in terms of growing friends within the industry, and leaving that behind was really, really hard. And leaving my family behind was really, really hard because I only have so much family out here. But the transition has been really good for me because I feel like I've really learned how to be. I feel like more of an adult. When like, and that's part of the reason why just shine some light on why people do the study abroad is because it really does take you out of your comfort zone. And I've never done the study abroad, but that's the biggest thing that I've heard is that you get that shock factor of like, oh, I'm in a completely different environment. And that's what I got with California. I mean, gas is too much. It's not 166. It's like 366, if I'm being honest. Traffic here does suck, but I luckily have a house that is like 10 minutes away from where I work. I don't know how I landed that, but I did. And honestly, thankfully, I have an amazing girlfriend that I met out here, and I've been like kind of transitioned into her family a little bit. So that's been really nice. And love her. And so honestly, having that and like also making new friends out here, because here's the thing. Here's one big thing that all you Aggies out there should realize. Always keep up with the people that you're taking classes with. Because get this, when I first moved to the house that I'm renting, the first two people that I reached out to were Aggies. And that was George Macias and Adam Rothstein. And they both, they both actually worked at Fox. Adam still works at Fox. And they live 10 minutes away from where I'm renting. And like just having that kind of security, having those friends there is amazing, because I was just like, oh my gosh, I still have some people out here. I still have my Aggies. So that's something really valuable to note. Now the thing is, I'm a little bit of a 2%er. I barely went to any games. I don't know. I mainly went to A&M for the school and for the people and stuff. Now the main thing is I wear my ring with pride. I pretty much wear it every day when I walk into work and stuff. But yeah, what I got at A&M was the schooling and some of the parties and stuff, and just the people that I met and the experience that I had. But yeah, I'm not a hardcore fan, but I do support my school. But yeah, having that whole community is really important. So if you are able to get a job out in LA, there are some Aggies out here, and you never know who is still going to be in your life. So yeah.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, a little bit. So I'll actually go into kind of a part two.
Okay.
And this is a little bit of a downer, but it's a reality that people have to deal with. So
A downer?
no, not really.
Okay.
So we're
Well, go
starting
ahead.
a thing where we're trying to get some more like member participation. So here's a question
Okay.
from one of our members, Erin Jarrett. She says,
Right.
I know many people have concerns about contract work and cost of living in California. What has
Mhm.
been your experience with finding and maintaining work while dealing with the higher cost of living?
Okay. So here's the deal. I came out here with a plan. I didn't just move out to California. I made sure I had a job before I did that. Because if you're going to just move out to California, have a plan. It's pertinent or really important that you know what you're doing when you come out here. I stayed with my parents while I worked at Groove Jones just because I have college loans. I had to save money. And when you are coming out to California, things are expensive. But if you get a job that pays well enough, it's not as bad as you think. I mean, it is still pretty expensive out here. I mean, heck, listen to this. Movie tickets are like $13 to $16 out here. It's insane. Now, it's probably because you get to see the costumes and all that jazz, but it's still just a movie, guys. It's still just a movie. So I'll get back to the more serious part. Like I said, have a plan. I would honestly wait to move out to LA until you have a job or until like you really feel like you have that money saved up and that's something you really want to do. Because I have other friends that have done that too. A lot of it is, just planning stuff for yourself and being like, okay, well, I need to get a job somewhere. I'm going to be a barista, or I'm going to wait tables, or I'm going to work at this store while I'm also building up my career. And honestly, like it's probably even better just to stay in Texas just for a little bit to build that up for yourself, find a little bit of a career in Texas, and then when you're ready, jump over to LA once you feel that your resume and your demo reel is ready. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no,
I
I
could.
think so. So now you're at Halon, which is
Hey,
I was pronouncing it wrong
Halon.
earlier. Hey, oh my gosh, I said it wrong. So
Yes, you
Halon.
did.
Um,
It's okay.
sorry, the powers that be at Halon Entertainment. So now now you're at Halon, and you're creating a bunch of really cool stuff for different IPs that are like world known. So can you talk about like some of the challenges and experiences you've had working there, and some of the opportunities you've had to work on some cool projects?
Yes. Okay. So like let's start with challenges. Um I've really had to push myself in terms of learning programming. Cuz that is such a big thing if you're going into character rigging, and I didn't really know that until I really started my career, which is not the best thing. But it's something in terms of like it's a lot of self-teaching. That is, I mean, and that's honestly what A&M prepares you for, is self-teaching. So good on them, right? So no matter where you go, you have to teach yourself how to do anything and everything. You're gonna have mentors depending on where you go, but at Halon Entertainment, um, it's still like I see Halon as more of like a medium studio. We still have like a good amount of people, and heck, we have like a London branch and all that jazz. But in terms of like what we have here locally, it's still like kind of a medium-sized group. So I've really had to watch out for how many questions I ask. I have to make sure that I do my research first and really utilize the time that I have to teach myself what I need to, and then ask more researched questions like something that's a bit more specific rather than something that's surface level. And that's something I would honestly really encourage a lot of students doing, is do research first on what you're doing, and then maybe ask a classmate or an instructor or a grad student like what your specific issue is. So that's honestly one of the biggest things, and also being like kind of thrown into the fire with some of these projects, because everything is very go go go. We have a lot of clients that we work with, and it's very much like learning on the fly in terms of trying to figure out what the initial issue is, and then kind of going off of that and figuring out what the next steps are so that we can utilize our time really efficiently. So that's what I would say some of the challenges are. And what was the other part of that question?
So just can you talk about some of the IPs you've worked with and dealing with like working with different brands?
Yes. So okay. Borderlands 3. I helped out with a launch trailer for that. I believe it's with a Queen song. Um,
Yeah,
you, you'll see it when you believe it.
it's
Or
Ballroom Blitz, I think.
man, I work here. I've heard the song that was used so many times. It doesn't matter. So pretty much, um, let's see. Yeah, so working on Borderlands 3, that was really cool because I got to record motion capture animation for that and kind of help out with like some of the cool actors that we actually had like come in for that. And I also got to mess with a lot of the assets that were made on Borderlands 3. And shout out to Michael Sewell for killing it on the rigging and setting up stuff in the Unreal Engine for that game, because I got to mess with some of his rigs and stuff. He's a really awesome guy, and so getting to mess with some of the client rigs for that was really cool. And it was kind of wild because it was like one of the first things I got to work on. And so I'm from Dallas, right? We're both from Dallas, and Borderlands is or Gearbox is located in Frisco. So there was almost a chance I got to work there. But at the same time, it was just funny moving over to LA and working on something that could have worked on it. I don't know. I find the entire thing hilarious, and it's just really cool to just be like, hey, I really appreciate the work that you guys did on here. So like being able to say that, I think is really cool. Disintegration, working on that launch trailer was really neat. That was actually one of the, like, even before Borderlands, that was actually like the first thing I honestly touched. And that was really interesting because that was a little bit of a shock factor because it was like, whoa, like, okay, so we're actually touching like client rigs and trying to figure out how we get this into our own pipeline, which is really interesting. And so I had to actually go around and help the animators get their scenes set up with the proprietary tools that Disintegration Studios like had set up. And then I know you like Kerbal Space Program too, and that was honestly like I feel like a love project, passion project over at Halon, because I feel like everyone that worked on it really enjoyed working on that launch trailer. And so my main part with that was recording the motion capture animation. And you wouldn't think that these cartoony characters would be recorded with motion capture, but we had to get this stuff kicked out. And the movements aren't really too big. Like if they were super over exaggerated, then yeah, we would totally have the animators like focus on really pushing those expressions and those poses. But the main deal is if we could just knock it out through motion capture and then maybe exaggerate it a little later, then yeah, like that works for us. And so I basically like I put little dots on a little guy, and he just he just did some like cartoony running and stuff, and fell off a ladder. But yeah, he was safe. Everyone's safe. So yeah, no, it's been really cool.
So that's interesting. How with the like development of mocap technology and like we're seeing more and more animation done through mocap and even like
Mm-hmm.
full games like Detroit Become Human done through almost entirely mocap animation. Where do you think
Yep.
that the future of that like variant of economic animation is going, and like how do you think it's going to get implemented into future projects?
Dang, I really like that question. I find that it is never going to go away because if studios can save that much more time and money on not having characters being like hand animated, they will bring an actor in that is qualified to really push the characters. I and it definitely helps out with automating the process of getting animation out. And honestly, one of the big things for previs, I should mention this specifically, is that we can take these motion capture performances and really help directors figure out their main vision for what they're trying to do at our studio. That's honestly like our big thing at Halon is really helping directors find their vision for through previs in the Unreal Engine. And the Unreal Engine is a very, very powerful tool that is being used for things outside of video games. It's incredible. That entire Kerbal Space Program 2 trailer was rendered all out of the Unreal Engine.
Was it
So,
rendered real time?
yeah.
Wow, cool.
So, here's the thing. Hey, animation jam people, some video game jam people, I don't know. Um, if you're doing an animation, try rendering out in the Unreal Engine just so that you don't have to use an entire render farm. Because it'll save you a lot of time and it looks really good. So that's just a tip from me to you animators. But yes, I do see motion capture animation never dying. I see it being a very useful part of the pipeline. The thing that I find that does kind of suck, in my opinion, is that we do kind of at times lose that personal touch of an animator's hand, which I love, like seeing stuff like Spider-Verse and like other animations out there that comes from like Pixar and other feature film studios is definitely something that like is a little lost when you do motion capture animation. But at the same time, if you're trying to get an idea out and you can knock it out by, just getting a walk cycle with an actor, more power to you, because that saves a lot of time and energy, and especially if you're doing something that's more realistic too. So, and that's also a really big thing, is like Halon mainly focuses a bit more on like more realistic than exaggerated. So it makes sense that we do use motion capture animation. So yeah.
Great, awesome. All right, so
Yeah.
to end it off, we like to
Okay.
ask our guests two different questions. One, a piece of advice that's related to the animation industry, and then another piece of advice that's completely unrelated to specifically animation.
You got it. Okay. Can I answer more than
Yeah, you
one
can
piece of
answer
advice for the
so much, as
animation
much as you
stuff?
can.
Okay. So, the biggest thing is work on your soft skills. Be really easy to work with. Never burn bridges. Always make sure that you are keeping up with a group of people, and that you are always collaborating with those people. Network, 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 network. Get your stuff out on LinkedIn. Get your stuff out on Twitter. LinkedIn is a really good place for sharing your resume and finding jobs and finding other Aggies that actually work out in the industry. Go on Twitter, like I just said, because you can actually have more personal conversations and have your stuff retweeted from really big names. I've had that happen to me several times. Go on Instagram. I don't really use Instagram that much, but I've seen friends that use the platform to show off their work, and that stuff is also shared by pretty big names. Use ArtStation to make your portfolio. You don't have to just use ArtStation. You can use Wix or whatever else like YouTubers are trying to sell you on this week. You can do that, but I've heard ArtStation being used by a lot of modelers in the industry. So for those modelers and texture artists out there, please, please, please utilize that, because it's basically like, hey, you got an ArtStation? Hey, you got a Twitter? Oh boy, it's just like it is very much used out here. Let's see. Okay, with this next one, I would say that it is okay to learn from other online resources, like Riking Dojo and M School, because it's really important that you, if you want to specialize, that you get your feet wet taking some classes from there. Grad school is something that you don't have to do if you don't have the money for it, and it's okay that you don't get a job right out of college. That is a very big thing. I do support both the grad school at Texas A&M, and I support the grad school at SCAD, because I was accepted into both. Just with my very special circumstances, I had the rare opportunity to work with my mentor, And I saved a lot of money by doing it. Now, if you do choose to go to grad school, please utilize that time, because it is also a really awesome choice. I'm not saying that it isn't. But if you have the money for it, then definitely go for it. And if you know exactly what you want to specialize in, go for it. I mean, that's the big thing. Some people actually don't go into grad school until a few years into the industry. That's really, really, really important to note. Really understand what you are going to specialize in before you go into graduate school. Please know that. It's okay that you're at where you're at, because we're all learning and you're gonna get there. Okay? That's a lot. Like, there's some really big things, but I really want you guys that are listening to really take in this information and really understand that everyone is trying to learn and everyone's trying to get in, and you are gonna get there if you are driven and passionate enough. That's how I got where I'm at. And the main deal is it took me 9 months out of graduating school to actually get a job, and I was constantly working on my on my demo reel, and updating my resume, applying, and it was for me specifically, it was the best decision I could have made. So yeah. I know it got kind of serious there, but I just really need you guys to know that. So that's my long first part. Here's my short second part. So advice that's not even related to the animation industry. When you are with people, listen to what they have to say, and really understand your friends and know who they are, because they are the biggest part of your life, whether you know it or not. And it's okay to make mistakes sometimes with friends, but just know that it's okay that it's okay to work on yourself every day, because nobody's perfect.
Yeah, I think that's really great. Okay. So ending on like happy general fun note. Yeah. No, and that's super serious, like important advice that I think everyone needs to hear. So it's really, really good that you're saying that. We'll have future guests on the podcast coming up, so tune in future for that. And we always update our stuff on, we have a Discord. We'll update it on the Facebook page Visavist and through our Twitter and Instagram. So just plugging all of those. All right. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. Nick, I will see you later.
Okay. See ya.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for having me on. Bye.